Okay, hopefully I got enough light on this to kind of show you guys. So I started this gaited Molly today, and she'll be coming 5 years old this year, and a good solid 15-2 already, and heavy made. She come from a really good breeder over in Shelbyville, Tennessee, that's handled it right. So we're starting with a good clean slate. It has no dislike towards people. It's actually very friendly, very hands-on. In your pocket. It's trying to look around where its buddies are at over there right now. But so anyway, I'm going to ride it around a little bit. So a couple things that I want to point out to you guys, especially with the gaited ones, they're generally not as prone to buck as they are to bolt. So I've got a really loose chin strap, but I've got a shank bit with a double twisted wire gaited horse type bit so that I can turn direction or get a stop. Now, when they try to bolt or take off when I first get on her, or if she gets nervous, I do not try to stop. I don't pull with both hands. I do fast changes in direction. I try to instead of trying to stop all that energy or go, oh no, we're going to bolt or we're going to buck. I just try to bring that energy around and keep turn it into the wall and turn it back. We're using a smaller round pin here with solid sides to get that going. So we do a lot of changes, and then once we get the changes as far as stopping the turning going, once it turns in tight and starts to relax, then we ask to stop and back, and to get that head set. And we use leg cues by really like bringing our seat in and kind of seeing up my body, and then letting my legs start bouncing in and just kind of setting that face and cue to reverse. And and we reward to try. We don't really care about so much as they back up. When we feel them collect up and just start to move backwards, just releasing that pressure. So we can get some stopping, some turning, and backing and being calm. That's about all I try to do on their first ride. And so I've been doing that for about 45 minutes. She's doing pretty good now. So I want to show you guys where she's at now. Like I said, this one and her sister are out of some really nice walking horses. So I'm not saying you can just take any gaited mule and you can be doing this. This is a mule that was bred right, proven jack, proven mare, proven breeders, handled right, petted, fed. They did some groundwork. They drug some tires. In and out of stalls, been brushed down. So there was some, this is not just snatching one up wild and going and doing this, okay? So just be sure you understand that. Well, you pay a little more for one that doesn't have issues, that has been started correctly. Okay, it's all right. She doesn't know about standing still just yet. So we're just kind of waiting for her to make that choice. So right now, I'm going to still try to encourage her to just stand still for a little bit. I want to be able to move around in this saddle. Now that we've got her to stand still, I'm going to kind of encourage that reverse. So like I said, right now I'm just kind of encouraging. I want her to stand still. And I want her not to move just because I move around a little bit. I want to let her be settled and let her relax with that, okay? Now, if she takes off like this to the left, and I'm gonna encourage that by using my right spur. And then I'm going to ask her to go back to the right. So she wanted to choose which direction she went. So we went her direction first, but since she went to the left, I used my right spur and followed her. I followed her, so I gave her the cue as if I asked her to go left, even though she made a decision. I made her seem like I made that decision for her, even though she knows she did it. I went on and as soon as she went to go left, I opened my left leg, squeezed my right, and did the neck ring to the left. Then, before we come back to a stop and I let her relax, I made her go back to the right. And then I'm going to come back to my stop position, because that's the main thing I want to focus on the first rod, is to get some stop and get some reverse. Now see, she went back to the left on her own. So we're going to use that right spur. I'm going to push her back around to the left, because that's the way she wanted to go. Then I'm going to ask her to come back to the right. Go to the right a couple times. I want to give her the opportunity to stand still again. I'm trying to get her to do it in front of the camera. And like I said, then I'm going to ask her to back. Opportunity to stand still and relax again while I move around. Now that was good there. I like that because when she's confusing me moving around there with my leg cue to back up, which is a double leg here, which is fine. But at least she's thinking, shows me she's got some brains about it. And so she starts responding when she gets confused by doing what she thinks I want, which is move backwards. I'm very happy with that. So I notice now that she has a tendency to always want to duck out and go to the left for whatever reason. So I had my right rein ready and I caught her that time and encouraged her to move forward and stop. It is so much easier when they are well bred and you're not starting off with a problem child. When you start off with just, it already likes people, it wants to please, it's trying to be, it's just nice. You don't go in there and you got to fix some other people's mistakes or anything. You're just going in there and like I said, the people did a good job with raising it. It's well fed, well cared for, healthy. I've had it sitting out in my pasture about 3 or 4 months now, just petting it, feeding it, letting it adjust to me. Not because that's the right way to do it, because I didn't have damn time to mess with it. I just kind of bought them on a whim, and I got 3 of them, 2 bred like this and another one that's Rocky Mountain. And I'm just now getting around time to do it, so I just took that time to go ahead and pet her when she came up and rubbed on her. And like I said, it seems like I'm not doing anything, but that's a lot. If the first time you ride them, you can establish, more important than anything else to me, let's stand still and let's back up. That from day one is going to start establishing no bolting, no bucking, get off the bit. Once you get them backing and getting off the bit and standing still, it gets really easy. The going forward, they're going to just do that. Like I said, I can tell you the biggest mistakes people make is when they try to take off and as soon as they get them moving forward, is they try to get them to stop. Like I said, I don't try to get mine to stop. I just keep asking for smaller, tighter turns until basically they do stop. And then once they do stop, like just ask them to back up. Once I've got this established, day one, day two, like this, then we'll go to like an O-ring snaffle again. So this way I know that they're not going to bolt through it, run through it. I'm not going to have to tug at it. I've got enough bit if I need it. I can be as light as I want, or I can make sure they don't bolt. She didn't try to bolt. She moved around like she's supposed to. She hasn't made a mistake. We could have done her in a Basel halter or O-ring snaffle just as easy. But the worst thing is if you guess wrong, and this one's big enough to do something, and they go to bolting around, and you don't get that shut down day one, and that's going to be a problem that you may have to readdress over and over and over and over. I like to have enough bit that first ride or two that if they do bolt off, that I can turn them into the wall and keep making them turn and stop. And I don't need enough bit to stop them. I need enough bit to keep turning them real quick, turn them back and right, and keep heading them into this little wall. That's why we got a solid wall, so I can literally keep running them into the wall. And I did not have to do any of that with her at all. I just kept turning her little circles. She did perfect. So better to have more than what you need the first time than less than what you need, because I don't want to get off on the wrong foot. That's for sure. Like I said, as far as how much bit you got, as long as you have light hands, like I said, if you can see, I'm just taking 2 fingers here. As long as you're being that light and you're responding to the try, don't wait for her to back up. When I feel her start to move backwards, I'm rewarding that right then. Just let that go. You're going to get super light. This is all easy stuff. You don't over pressure. You can see she's got a little sweat on her ears and stuff, and that's from basically her nerves and trying to figure out. We have not got out of a walk really. A couple times she kind of wanted to gait around a little bit, but no big deal. It's just so what you're trying to do is, instead of stop and put all that pressure, like just hold it in place, is just let it keep leaking out real slowly. Let a little bit of that steam out, let that little pressure up. So I'm just asking her to just turn that head. I just want to get her to start flexing and bending that head a little bit. We don't even have to move anywhere. As long as I know that I know she's going to move when I let her move. I just need to get some turning and some stopping and some backing. Now, we'd like to, before we let her go, I want to reinforce that getting on and off and her standing still, because she doesn't know anything about that yet. So one way I can do that is be real slow about how I get off versus just when I get on. Another thing is, I put this little archery block out here, a little step stool, little 5-gallon bucket, whatever you got, so that you don't have to tweak the saddle so much. All right, now let's see if she lets me on just straight off the ground here without moving around too much. Now that we kind of let her figure out what we wanted. I see that was wonderful there. Okay, that's about the 4th or 5th time I've got on her, and she's already standing still. She just was, and the reason that she's knowing to stand still now is because everything that we've done is, let's stand still, let's stand still, let's do nothing. And then the second thing from after standing still is, let's just back up a little bit. And so she knows the answer is not going to be let's go forward and take off or spin circles. Once you establish that the right answer is just stand still, that's going to be their go-to answer for about everything that comes up. Get that mouth soft, moving it around real lightly, fingertips. Now we've got that head moving soft, get that little nose to come down, little reverse. Like I said, we'll end up going to an O-ring snaffle and a chain bone probably tomorrow. Get that nose down like we want. we've got that established. So we're just gonna stand here and relax and pet her down, let her know that's a good girl. And ideally she'll just stay hooked to me because it wasn't too stressful for her. I'm super stoked about her.